Hello there and greetings everybody. Welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show. This is the show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back here with a mini-series that we've been doing this week. This is episode number 5 of Masterpiece by Black Sabbath. So I've chosen all 7 of my Masterpiece albums that I consider masterpieces from Black Sabbath. They're personal. I'm not trying to say that these are the definitive masterpiece albums. You may have 7 totally different albums from me. Not likely, because there's 7 of them here, so you got to have some overlap, but more than likely it doesn't matter anyways. They're just my own masterpieces. They're not the definitive. Everybody hears things a little bit differently. For me, these are the ones that I think of as masterpieces, and we're going to get into that in a minute. So I've chosen all 7 of the albums. They're not in any particular order. They're not in most favorite to least favorite, or least favorite to most favorite, or worst to best, or any of that stuff. This is just, I used the dice, I rolled the dice, I wrote the numbers, and then I sorted them out by highest number to lowest number, and that's the way the episodes have appeared. So I hope you can understand that. I happen to like dice a lot, so any chance to roll dice, I'm all for it. So anyways, we're going to go on to day 5, and the album that we're going to be doing for the masterpiece albums for today is Born Again, released September the 12th, 1983. A couple things about it. It's the last masterpiece for me from Sabbath, chronologically speaking. The album cover has had mixed reviews. Some people say this is one of the worst album covers in the history of rock music. Others kind of like it. I never was really. I thought it was kind of striking. Obviously, it's not really well done, but it was striking. So much so I know, because when I bought it and left it on the table in the kitchen, my mom said, "What in Christ's name is that? Get that out of here." Yeah. So. Anyways, it did have its shock value, I guess, might be. This, along with the Number of the Beast album, were the 2 ones that my mother said, do not put those in the front room ever. But this album, strange as it may seem, when I first heard that Ian Gillan was going to be joining Black Sabbath to replace Ronnie James Dio, I thought to myself, I don't know if I like that combo. I had listened to a little bit of Deep Purple, and to me they just didn't marry well, in my opinion. I didn't think they would anyways. But I went out and got the album anyways, because I'm one of those people that like to collect things, and can't have an album out there by a band that I don't have if I have all the other ones. It just didn't work very well for me that way. So anyways, I got the album, took it home, put it on, and I'll tell you right away, I didn't think this sounded like Black Sabbath at all. It was really different, and much heavier than anything I think they did prior to this. And that voice, unbelievable. I really think that Ian Gillan is at his best on this album. But the album is kind of murky. Probably the most murky of their albums. Sound like it wasn't fed very well. Sounds like you can barely. It's like it's smoldering in some kind of cauldron of some kind, But the tracks on it, that's a totally different story now. So you've got Ian Gillan, who probably, well, maybe not doesn't sound his best, but was definitely vocally at his best on this album, in my opinion. I've heard some other stuff by him. Really loud and screeching, and all that high singing voice that he has, and just the laughing and everything. This album is actually kind of evil sounding, to be honest. I'll be very straightforward with you. It is that evil sounding album, and the tracks are evil titled albums. So, and then you got this kind of murky thing on the back, which I don't really care much for. It's almost like it's an X-ray version of the album. So why did this become a masterpiece? Well, I don't think you could listen to the songs, production aside, sound aside, I don't think you could do that and not find this to be a masterpiece. Like, every song on there is great. At first, I loved Trashed and Disturbing the Priest and Digital Bitch, the ones that most people like, and Born Again. Those were the 4 tracks I liked a lot. The rest of them I didn't really pay much attention to, so those were the ones I played. I really loved the opening track, Trashed, at the time, was easily my favorite. Used to crank, this album cranks up really well. It's really quite heavy, beefy, noisy, crashing, scary, you know, if you want, you can evil sounding album with a kind of interesting cover on it as well. So, but later I started to become a big fan of Keep It Warm, Zero the Hero. These are 2 songs that really moved up. Hotline, and Keep It Warm and Hotline later became among my favorite of the tracks on here. Now it's kind of a mix of everything. Like, I just Disturbing the Priest, I still think is the best track on here. So absolutely killer. The guitar riffs on these album is amongst the best that Sabbath has done, I think. The vocals are among the best as well. I mean, this is a band with great vocalists. Yeah, just a really strong album. And became a masterpiece for me when I got to that period of time where I stopped saying, these are my favorite albums, these are my favorite albums, these are my favorite albums. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to start breaking them into categories, because some of them aren't as good as others. I wanted to be able to define that. So back when I started listening to music again, like in a big way, when I was driving, when my daughter was first born, I was working a couple jobs, and you know, I was in the car a lot. I decided to break it down, and then I started calling stuff masterpieces, and this was one of those albums. So at that time, I think Sabbath had, I'd labeled at least 5 of them, or 6 of them, maybe even as many as 6 of them, as masterpieces at that point in time. So that's where it became that way. And the reason I love this album so much is because when I want to go to a really heavy, banging album, this is one of the 2 or 3 that I always choose. This and Number of the Beast and Screaming for Vengeance are the big 3 impactful ones for me as far as that heaviness goes. And yeah, it's a fantastic album. Cover aside, really great. The outstanding track, of course, is probably Disturbing the Priest. That Stonehenge at the beginning is so good as well, though. It just leads it right into this crashing song. Zero the Hero, I used to not really like that a lot at first, but it really has come on over the years and kind of taken a spot near the top of the heap here. Hasn't changed much over the years. If anything, it's gotten stronger for me. It didn't get a lot of radio play or airplay, so it really didn't suffer anything kind of burnout. I think of all of the original masterpiece albums from Sabbath, for me, this is probably the least burned out of them. So it's an album I go to fairly regularly when I want to hear some crashing stuff. And so that's where it is with this album right now. And I think if you haven't heard this, you should give it a hear. Even put the album cover aside, just give it a hear, and you'll find out. Even if it's a little bit murky, you're gonna like the songs on it if you're a Sabbath fan for sure. So there you have it. So if you have any comments about this album, about any of the stuff we've done so far, about Sabbath in general, or about my masterpieces, or any of that stuff, you can put it all in the comment section below. I like to have conversations about Black Sabbath, that's for certain. Please like and subscribe. That's also much appreciated. And if you want to be notified of episode 6, which will be coming out Saturday morning, this one will come out Friday morning, then please hit the notification bell, and we will see you then. So have yourself a good evening. Take care.